Kathy, are you up to it?
First, I want to say that I'm very happy to be here. I wouldn't be here if we weren't Zooming. Some of you heard this before, but yesterday I fell off a ladder and broke my wrist and did something to my knees so that I can't walk at the moment. So I'm here in my bed, but thanks to Zoom, I can be here. And so I thank you for allowing me to be here even in my current state. So when I was in the ER last night, I was thinking about, what I might say today. And the first thing that popped into my mind is what I'm going to talk about. I remember when I first, shortly after I first arrived at our temple, and I was attending the Wednesday evening meditation service. After I did my first Dharma talk, which was an icebreaker type of thing, then it was time to do another one. And as I was looking for something to do, I came across this article. I think it's in The Lion's Roar by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I looked at it and I saw this line. If you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. I'll never forget the moment I saw that. And it touched me in some deep way. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew I wanted to find out. And so I read that beautiful article. It's called The Heart Sutra, The Fullness of Emptiness. And I understood very little on an intellectual level, but I think I understood a whole lot inside. And I ran around reading the whole entire long article to anybody who would listen to me because I loved it so much. I grew up with very much attached to an immortal soul. So this emptiness was a little bit unusual to me. But the cloud floating on a sheet of paper was a little bit of a gateway into emptiness for me. So of course, then, he goes on to talk about how, you can look at the paper and you see the sunshine and you can see the logger who cuts down the tree, and all of that. And I began to get a little bit of insight. And then later on, I just came upon a poem because I was looking up, a lot of Thich Nhat Hanh's work because I really resonated with his teachings. And I found this poem. And some of you have heard me say the whole poem. Fortunately, I will not do that this morning. But it's a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's called Call Me By My True Names. And when I was reading this poem, I was just amazed, and I didn't understand it at first. For example, I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. Didn't know what he was talking about. But as I studied and meditated on it more, I began to understand. And it really changed my life when I started to really get an idea about what that really meant, which was the emptiness, which is so tied up with interbeing. You can't separate them. Obviously, it's interbeing, right? But that interbeing, that we're all so intimately connected with everyone on this planet, or anyone in the solar system or in the universe, and not just human beings, all beings. It's a very amazing teaching that has really changed the way I look at things. Then later on, I came across a very simple little practice that I use all the time, and it's called Just Like Me. I think Pema Chodron had talked about that in some CD I was, or some video I was watching. And in this practice, whenever I find myself in a situation where my emotions, where I'm reacting with a strong emotion, or anything like that, I think to myself, just like me, that person is angry sometimes. Just like me, that person is afraid. That person worries. Just like me. And the more I started doing it, the more interbeing became real to me. And in the past couple of weeks in particular, and as we all know, these the racial injustice that we've all been watching and grieving over, that's I look at that police officer in Minneapolis. You know that picture, where that picture of him with his knee on the neck. And I look at him and I think to myself, just like me, this person is suffering. Just like me, this person is angry sometimes. And so I not only, of course, look at our dear George Floyd, but also the officers who ended his life. And I try my best to live in that sense of interbeing. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Sister Phap? Oh, Elena bowing in. I just want to thank you, PhapLan, for being here in spite of your little heavy-duty dance yesterday. I just want to say that what you mentioned about that dichotomy, that we are both the anger and the joy, we are both the aggression and the peacefulness, we are both the giving and the taking. I think that's so real and so important for us, for all of us right now in our country, in the world, in everything that's going on. And I want to thank you for bringing it up, because we sometimes tend to be one-sided, and like John said earlier, being in the middle way is so important, because that's what helps us see when we are going to the one side or the other. So I appreciate your teaching, your talk, and because this really has nourished me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
This is Dave. Thank you so much, PhapLan, for sharing that with us. I just wanted to, there's been so much confusion and reactivity and anger and fear and so forth, I think, for all of us all over the world, particularly recently. And I really appreciate you mentioning the Pema Chodron practice of just like me. I've heard you speak on it before, and I've seen Pema herself speak on it. And I wanted to share one similar practice that I got from her many, many years ago that helped me through some very difficult stuff that I was going through, is the practice of other people feel this. And so when I would be, feeling whatever it was I was feeling, dealing with whatever difficult state that I was dealing with, where I might be actually really feeling alienated and separated from humanity in general, from people around me, that sort of thing, I would come back to that touchstone of other people feel this. And it's a practice that resonates with me still, and it comes up still. And thank you for mentioning that one picture, that one that we all know. And because that's been one that has been for me a reminder that we all experience these things, you know, just like me. Other people experience overwhelming states at times. You know, that there's so much that can be seen in the picture and in some of the videos. And then in speaking with a lot of the people, and then I'll shut up real quick, but I want to say, in speaking with a lot of the people that I speak with, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about their own states of reactive distress. And, you know, how quickly they might be reacting to something somebody says in the grocery store, for instance, or, you know, just all those little, what we would usually think of as everyday little stressors. And how quickly these things are bringing up anger and fear and confusion. And, you know, we're all experiencing these things. So thank you. Much gratitude.
Richard bowing in. First of all, I love how you said that, you know, you need to, again, just like me, I've heard enlightenment is intimacy with all things. And I think that's, you know, putting yourself there with those feelings and trying to understand them is part of what enlightenment is, at least. And the second thing is, it sounds like you have a really gravity problem there in Texas, so I'm not coming there right now. So I hope you feel better.
I'm sure I will, if they ever set this wrist. Thanks.
Tay, did you want to say something? Yes, Tay. Go ahead.
Yes, just like to say that sorry to her that you got the accident, and I hope that you will be recover soon. And about the situation, I have some an idea about what going on in the country. That there are two things that are very dangerous. That is the coronavirus and the violence. Both is very, very harmful. And in those situations, I think the calm mind and compassionate mind is the only way vital important in this situation. For the violence, we should have understanding and love for them. Just like the parents, the father or mother with the crying child, we should not discipline him right away, but we should try to comfort him and then later talk to him to see what is right and wrong. And for that, we need the understanding and love in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tay. Okay, Fab, your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you.